Well, hello, Mrs. Banks. This is our opportunity to have a conversation with Mrs. Dorothy E. Banks, who is a person I met through Antoinette Hillian. And Antoinette shared with me that she had a neighbor who is 100 years old and asked me if I was interested in having you as our guest on Witness to History. So here we are, and we've been waiting for this day, and are going to have a wonderful conversation.
Well, I'm so happy to be of service. Anytime you need me to do something similar, I have no problem with it. My mother used to say to us girls, you're poor, you gotta marry a poor man, don't keep his nose to the grindstone. And I never made bills for my husband. I always considered the source if it was necessary.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yes.
it's not necessary, I don't care who does it.
Wouldn't that be nice if people lived like that today?
And what's trouble now? These women now they gotta go get their fingernails done and the toenails done and the hair just and the husband keeps nervous because he's pressured. My husband was never pressured.
Mm-hmm.
After he graduated from college, because he told me before we married,
Mm-hmm.
he wanted to go to college.
Yeah.
And so when he got out of school, out of the Navy, he started going to prepare to be a mechanical engineer.
Yes.
And I was a very good homemaker because I learned from my mother, waste not, want not.
Now, where did you meet your husband? You said you were 14 when you met him. Where did you meet your husband?
Where did I meet him? I met that young man in church. Where else are you going to meet a nice man? I met him in church, and he had two brothers.
Okay.
Older, both older than he, and had one sister.
Okay.
Well, I had decided way back when I was 14 that some guys were kind to get. I'm serious. I'm just serious. I had a lot of fellows like me, quite a few. But I like Robert.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched Robert. I would come to the bathroom and look out, I see him going out to get the bus to go to East End.
Mm-hmm.
He was a gentleman.
Yes.
He came from a nice family. I sang in the choir with his mother.
Mm.
She told one of my mother's friends, Harris, if he gets her, he'll sure be lucky.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice. Well, that turned out to be true.
Oh, yes, he was a nice guy, though. Really, very nice. Yeah, and my daughters, I have two nice daughters.
Yes, yes.
That one is a German major, and she never told me she was taking German. Her girlfriend said, Miss Banks, did Sherry tell you about the program they're going to have? I said, no. She never told me she could speak German.
Oh, is that right?
She was a major.
Okay.
She was a major, and when she went to Albany, she took Russian.
Okay. Okay.
She was a scholar, but she
Yes.
was no domestic. I did not bother my girls
He was into her books.
because they were like their grandmother, their father's mother, not mine. I was like my mother. Waste not, want not.
Yes.
I was so proud of her. She came home. She said, Mom, I was in the playground and I saw something shiny. And I picked it up and there was a buckle off my shoe. And here it is.
Oh, okay. She said,
I said, oh, that's good because maybe we couldn't find one to match. My pumpkin, very quiet, very different from Sherry, never raised her voice, not one time. If I called her, she never answered me. I looked, she said, did you call me? Here she standing up looking at me. She said she wanted to be a good girl for this mother that's finer than a pearl.
Oh.
And she was a little girl.
Oh,
She
isn't
wrote
that sweet?
drew a picture of me.
Oh, isn't that nice?
She said, I want you to be a good girl for this mother who is finer than a pearl. But she was wonderful. Both of my girls were wonderful.
Yes.
Each one had their own specialties.
Yes, yes, yes.
And she was decided that she was going back to school and get her BSN because she only had an associate degree. She went back to big money, Western Reserve, and got her her BSN. We had a big furnace in those days. He called Mr. Creighton. I don't know how he knew Mr. Creighton. Took that furnace out and put a smaller, just fit in that area. And had another gentleman, Mr. Taylor, to put a bathroom down there. And I mean, it was wonderful.
Yes.
Oh, yes. I said I would like it. And as soon as I said, he took the chalk, and he drew it.
Well, he knew what he was doing. He was an engineer. He knew exactly what he was doing.
He sure did, and that's what the furnace man, Mr. Creighton, I remember his name. He said, your husband got a jam up. Because it was a little space. Only certain things could fit in there.
Yes,
You didn't know what measurements you needed, then you wouldn't be able to have it.
Right, exactly.
He was good.
Know how to put the plumbing in.
And he did not waste money either.
Uh-huh.
He never bought nothing. He took a little boy in the house. Whatever I buy, when he told me he wanted to go to college, I went down to Higbie's. I bought him gray flannel nice jacket and a nice 100% wool sweater with a zipper.
Yes.
Those are the only two things he had to wear to school. And of course I took care of them. And when the sweaters got too short, I knitted to more length on the sleeve.
Oh my goodness.
Of course I was careful when I washed it with wool light, took care of it. And of course, like I said, we were poor, so you have to take care of what you get. You cannot,
absolutely.
you're not so wealthy that you can buy a lot. So you take care of what you have.
Yes.
I was so glad when he did go to school because he finished much earlier. Instead of taking the 5 years he would have needed, I think he did 3.5 or something.
Oh, wow.
Some short thing. Anyway, I have it written down somewhere
Yes. Well, let me.
that he didn't take his time he should have had to take because he had a family.
Yes.
And that wasn't too good, was it?
After he was in the military.
So I had to get me a job. I called my husband's cousin. She was a very good friend of mine. And I said, Carrie, I respect a woman. I said, can your husband take me to Marymount Hospital? I want to look for a job. Yeah, Dorothy. So he stayed in the car with Sonia. She was a little tiny little girl.
Your daughter.
While I went over for an interview.
Okay.
So I went in there. She said, Mrs. Banks, we don't have anything. I said, well, if you hire me, you'll never be sorry.
Yes.
She walked back and forth out in the hall and then back sit at her desk at least 3 times. Then she said, you know what? She said, I don't have anything. I'm going to make something for you.
Oh.
She gave me a job.
How long did you work there?
5 years.
5 years.
Only reason I left there because my husband got transferred to Pittsburgh.
Oh, that's when you moved to Pittsburgh.
With the Corps of Engineers, he got transferred to Pittsburgh. And there was a girl on our street, and she was a very attractive young woman. And I asked her if she thought she would like a part-time job, and she said yes.
Oh.
But when I heard she quit the job, I said to myself, she don't want to work. Because she had nothing hardly to do. My nurse was Miss Owens. She was the chief. Get patients ready to go back to their room, check with the anesthesiologist so that you're sure they're ready.
Yes.
That's all we had to do. She quit the job.
How could anybody not want to do
Crazy. I said to myself, she don't want to work.
that? Yeah.
And it was such a nice place. See, I lived in the village. It took me 5 minutes to pick my car and drive to the hospital. My little Sherry was a little girl.
Even thinking about the distance when you say the village, and we'll talk a little bit more specifically, but that's in the
Miles Heights.
Yes, Miles Heights, the Lisaville area, and Marymount Hospital is essentially around the corner.
It doesn't take maybe 10 minutes.
Exactly.
And my Sherry Lynn said, Mom, I worry every night. I'm afraid you're going to go with a racetrack and maybe a train will hit you. She was a little bitty girl.
Okay.
She was frightened. She said, but when 11 o'clock come, I know you're safe.
Yeah.
She was 4 years old.
You have to
but
cross
she
the
would
train
worry
track.
about me.
Yes.
But anyway.
Well, tell me, just to go back to your conversation about Miles Heights. Well, let's establish
About the
first.
village?
Yes. And
Okay,
tell
well,
me.
I'll tell you about the
Well,
village.
tell
There
me
was a
when you
family
tell me
out.
when you were born.
I was born in 1924, and when I was born, I think I was born on around the 22nd, down in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother said she never liked no house where two and three families coming in and out of the same door.
Okay.
So she waited, and this house was built by the Anthony family.
Yes. Yes. You
They
said
were
they were
builders. There were
brothers.
5 brothers of them.
Okay.
And they were builders, and they built houses. And the youngest brother, Mark, his name was, good-looking young man. He had 2 children, a boy and a girl, and they lost the house.
Mm.
And this house they lost, my parents bought it.
Oh.
See, my mother wasn't, that's how she could buy it.
Okay.
And she said, now, Mr. Lewis, she called my father Mr. Lewis. Mr. Lewis, go and see if you can find a paper hanger.
Mm-hmm.
And he came back and he said, well, this guy said he'll do it for $35. She said, oh, we can't afford to pay that kind of money. She said, I'm going to do it myself.
Mm.
She said she started walking around the little village, and she come to a woman, she asked this little lady, she said, listen, go down to Prospect on 4th and Prospect and check out the United States paper hanger.
Okay.
4th and Prospect. She went down there, pregnant 9 months, gonna have a baby. Came home, 2 half-bushel baskets, walked from 131st to miles because we had no transportation in that area.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Walked with 2 half-bushel baskets with wallpaper, the paste you mix the water and the paste to make the paper, and a brush you put it on with. She had no money from lamps, so she said, not ladders. Had no money to buy ladders. She said, I thought I would walk on my sewing machine, old-fashioned sewing machine, and use my tabletop in the kitchen to walk on. And that's what she did. She was pregnant herself.
Oh, my God.
She paid for the front room, the dining room, the kitchen, and the bedroom.
Okay, your mother.
With these 2 hands, no help. And my father, I said to myself, now Mr. Lewis is tall, and I know I can do the other part. She said, Dorothy, he tore up 3 sheets of paper, and he got so nervous, he got his cap and went up to shoot pool.
Oh, my goodness.
And
when she finished doing it. She did the whole thing.
When he came back, she said, I had did the ceiling and started on the side. He said, Monkey, that's what he called him, Monkey. You're going to pay me. She said, I ain't going to miss it. And she paid for it.
Isn't that something? Now, you had told me also that Miles Heights was called Mud Hill.
It was a muddy place because only 147th Street had sidewalks.
Yes.
We had no sidewalks. We had no lights, no toilet, no. We would have to go down the street to Miss Sherman, the elderly lady, had a well. Or across the street to Miss Martinez to get drinking water. My father had a large barrel at the corner of the house, catch rainwater to take baths, water the gardens, clean the house. That's what you had to do in them days. There was no picnic, but you learned to be fruitful and thankful.
Absolutely. And you said that from Miles Heights, you walked to John Adams
That's
High
right.
School.
But see, when I walk,
I wasn't short distance.
I wasn't walking by myself.
Okay.
Bertie Crosby, her father worked at J&L. What is J&L?
J&L still.
Because he was a very fair skinned. I don't know if J&L thought he was Caucasian or not, but they hired him and he was working there.
Okay.
Well, he had a daughter, looked like Italian. We called her Dale. And we walked to Maple House to visit her. I walked to John Adams. I wasn't walking by myself, of course. There were several of us walking.
Yes.
We walked when the weather was nice. We saved a change. It was nothing. Now, John Adams was a very prejudiced school. Very prejudiced, honey.
Yes.
My teacher, for my sewing, she gave me a B, and I knew I deserved an A. But she said, if anyone in here wants to discuss that grade after class, they can come and kiss it with me. I thought to myself, now she thinks I'm going to ask her about giving me a lower grade than I deserve. I wouldn't think of doing that because she wanted me to have a B, but God knows I have an A. And I didn't worry about it, and I didn't even tell my mother. I didn't say anything about it. It's nonsense.
And you told me also that your mother was quite a seamstress. You talked about your mother sewing.
Could she sew? And you know, there was a lady that lived next to my uncle, worked at Lamples, and she'd get a great big box of scraps and sell them for $2. My mother would buy one, and she would pick out all the large ones and make my little sister twin dresses. Beautiful.
Yeah.
She could make some, honey. Very creative woman. And she took care of things because when me and my sister next to me would finish wearing our things, and they would wear them.
Yes.
So they were glad to get a new dress from Miss Crawford Scraps.
Oh, nice. Oh,
And my
nice.
mother made canning. She canned everything a person could think of. But she said, Dorothy, she said, my tomatoes would always spoil. But she said, I was up at 131st working for the bus, and a Caucasian lady came and we started talking. And I was telling her about my canning, and she told me, she said, put a teaspoon of salt in every jar of your tomatoes. She said she never had one to spoil.
Oh, okay.
After that, she canned cha-cha. You know what cha-cha is?
No.
Made with green tomatoes. It's a
Okay.
relish.
Oh, okay.
Green beans. What do you call jar that big? She'd have the small ones, and then she'd have the big ones.
Right, mason jars.
Green beans,
Yes.
tomatoes. Cha-cha is made with green tomatoes and onions, and I don't know whatever else, but it's like a relish, and it's nice for vegetables when you're
nice.
having dinner.
Okay.
My mother made, I can't tell you the things she didn't make. Well, across the street lived Mr. Simmons. He was from Chillicothe. Well, Mr. Simmons was a carpenter.
Okay.
So my father had him to build a cupboard in the basement for my mother to put her canned goods. And it was nice.
Oh, nice.
Mr. Simmons had a wife, Naomi. Naomi was very fair. And her sister said, Naomi, you think I could get a job at the egg house down on Kinsman? Naomi said, oh, Margie, I don't know. Why don't you go down there and see? Margie went down there, and the guy said, oh, we don't have any colored people working here. And we laughed. We laughed, a big joke. They thought Naomi was white, but Naomi was working there, but so was her big brother, Bill.
Okay.
Her brother, Bill, was passing that Higbees for a Caucasian, because he looked like a Caucasian Bill.
All right. Well,
Bill
people,
did.
People wanted
And
to have
Bill
jobs.
Was a conscientious objector, so he could not stay in Ohio. He went to Vermont.
Oh.
That's where Bill. He worked at Higbees because they thought he was a Caucasian. His mom and daddy, granddaddy Anthony, if she wasn't white, I ain't black.
All right. All right.
Grandmother Anthony was white and then white, but you know, because of the discrimination, they were saying what they had to say to get what they could get.
Yes, yes, yes.
All those Anthony, 5 brothers, they were builders, they built houses. And then we had a grocery store by the name of Matthew Oldman.
Okay.
Matthew Oldman furnished foods. I don't know how he got the credit. Because I'm sure they didn't pay it back. He had a book where he write down what you got from his store, but I'm sure they had no money to pay that man back.
Maybe during the Depression.
He raised for my husband.
30s, yeah.
And his wife, no, he was raised for my mother-in-law. His wife, Macy, she was related to my husband's father.
Okay.
Man and wife, they had that grocery store. They had no children. With 9 children.
Took care of a lot of other people.
Of that family. But that Mr. Matthew Oldman was a very industrious man. They had the grocery store, and a lot of people at that time burned coal oil.
Yes.
That's what their stove produced for them.
Right.
And he sold coal oil. He also taught young men who was interested in making the cinder blocks that you build houses.
Yes. Oh.
In those days, poor people, which most of us were, they would build a basement with the blocks until they saved money for that. His father was only in his early 30s when he built them that nice brick house. My mother used to say, Dorothy, your mother-in-law got the best house out here.
Oh, my.
But right up in his killed him. He was only in his 30s. That's what killed him. He was constipated and the doctor told him to take castor oil.
Oh. Oh, my.
Yep, he got himself. Left her a widow.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's sad.
She got widow's pension.
Yes.
You ever heard of that?
Yes.
A widow's pension in those days, like these girls nowadays that go in the store and buy this, that, and that. You wasn't going in the store and do that, which is not right. Because the social worker gonna come to your house and you better not have nothing new in there because they want to know where you got it from and how much it costs and all the history of it.
Yes.
Well, my mother-in-law did domestic work for Caucasians. So she had a job and she was working for, I don't remember what the woman's name was. I can't think of her name. But anyway, it was raining. She said, Apple, I'll take you home since it's raining. So she brought Apple home. She said, is that where you live? Well, you don't need to work. She wouldn't let her work for her no more.
Oh, really? Oh, my.
She wouldn't let her work. No, she didn't need to work.
All right.
And me, I was only about 11 to 12.
Yes.
And I was in a little grocery store not too far from where our house was. And I saw a little lady in there shopping. She said, would you like a little job? And I said, sure. She said, well, come outside. I came outside and she showed me where her mother lived, where I could walk to her mother's house. She wanted me to come there to work on Saturday. And I said, fine. Well, the next thing I knew, her husband built her a brand new house at 154th and Kinsman.
Oh, wow.
Vender Bose King. They had a car dealership.
Okay.
And I would go up there, and she had one of those college fellows driving me a scooter to their new house, $10,000. 3707 Ingleside.
Wow.
That's all it cost. I worked for her on Saturday.
Wow.
Very nice people.
I mean to tell you.
Mother was sweet. Yeah, she was.
Well, I want you to start telling me about Mr. Banks, Robert Banks.
Well,
where did you meet your husband?
Where I met the husband. Mr. Husband was at the Sunday school every Sunday.
Yeah.
Because those children, in those days, you have to go to church.
Now, what church was it?
Canaan.
Okay.
Canaan Baptist Church. It wasn't no missionary on it. Reverend Newt came put that on it. And we had a minister, Reverend E.M. Moore, built that church. He was a carpenter. He had a son, Adrian and Claiborne. Adrian was married to my sister-in-law's sister, Esther. He worked at the post office. At that time, black folks did not work at no post office, none of these government jobs. But you see what happened when God brought on that war, and the Caucasians went to get jobs in the defense plant to get big money. That's when the black folks were able to get the jobs in the postal service, driving the streetcar bus. You didn't see no black folks driving no streetcar. No, not one. And my brother-in-law had a short hip and had a lift on his shoe, so when he got discharged from the Navy, where my husband was, he got a job as a streetcar driver, because they didn't have streetcar drivers. They had one postal guy out there, James Gary. See, I remember all these people. Well, he was the only one. James Gary was the only one with his cute self. He was the older man.
So you met your husband. You told me that you were 14.
That's right. I was 14 years old. I used to come to the bathroom and look out and see him going the Texas bus. Every morning I see him running the Texas bus.
You knew he was going to be
I knew I was going to try. And there was another family out there named Nate Pierce. And Leo was an only child. He was all right, but he wasn't good as Robert. So my mother said, Dorothy, she used to always speak and smile to me, and since you married Robert, she turned her head. She don't have nothing to say to me. And I had nothing to do with you marrying Robert.
funny. That's
I
funny.
see Robert. I see him walking to catch the bus. Cause in those days it was all these white kids from Shaker Heights down to 55th and Scoville
Mm-hmm.
to East Tech.
Yes.
And Robert was one down there. That's where he was.
Okay.
He went to East Tech. And Carl went to John Adams where I went. Carl was the only black one on the honor key, honor society, and Robert was the only black one at Tech.
Oh, okay. All right.
But see, there was a girl that liked Carl. Dorothy Hughes, Evelyn Hughes.
Oh my goodness.
And
Your memories are
that's who he should have hung up with because he had no children.
Oh.
He should have married Evelyn. When he went out to California, he and his wife they visited Evelyn's house.
Now,
I
when
wasn't
did you graduate from Adams?
Hmm?
When did you graduate from John Adams?
1945.
Actually, I'm going to just hold this up.
I think it's
We have a
40.
picture.
No, I'm not in the book.
Yes, we took a picture of you in the book. 1944.
I must be in there.
Yes, you're in there.
Is that John Adams?
This is John Adams. And we have a picture of you from the book. And also, when did your husband graduate from East Tech? I think
The
1942?
year before.
42?
The year before.
This is for all of the East Tech grads to see the yearbook.
East Tech.
And so then you said your husband, and so obviously you had your eye on him when you were 14, but you were married. And he went into what branch of the military?
Well, when he finished, Eddie Perkle, I got Eddie Perkle's picture in there. He's a Caucasian guy. My husband and Eddie Perkle was like this. And they had the same locker from the time they were 5th grade, I think, until they graduated from high school. So they went down to join the Navy.
Yes.
I mean, to join, not the Navy.
The
Air, what is it?
Air Force or Army? Yeah.
And
yeah.
they told him that he couldn't join, but Eddie Perkle could. So Eddie Perkle told my husband, he said, I'm not going to join either. I said, my husband said, no. He said, you go ahead and join. And he did, and my husband joined the Navy.
Okay, he was in the Navy. Isn't that something? So what did he do when he came out of the Navy?
Well, when he came out of the Navy, he got a job at the water plant down around the circle. Baldwin, I think the name of it. Baldwin water plant.
Yes.
He got a job down there reading dolls, doing something.
Okay.
And he had signed up to go to the Navy. Go to college, but he had to take some math. I don't know which math it was he had to take before he could get into the service. And they pay for it. They pay for him to go to school.
Oh, nice.
They pay for him to go to school.
Okay.
I can't think. It's written down. When we find him, we're going to find this information. How much time it took him to finish college. Not much as it usually take.
Oh, okay. So where did he go to college?
Finn
He
College.
went to Finn College.
I got his book in there.
Oh, I don't
Wait a
think I
minute.
saw the Finn College book. That's okay. We'll
That's
find
his
it
name
later.
over there.
I don't know. We'll see.
That little book, that's his book from
Oh.
Finn College.
Oh, is that right? Okay, I skipped.
And he
over. We'll have
ran
to make sure
track.
we get the-
Because he was only this big.
Okay. He ran track when he was in college?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
He's the only black one sitting up there.
Oh, here we are.
Huh?
Oh, this is from Finn
Thank you,
College.
thank you.
Yes. Oh, in the commencement book.
Yep. I was determined I was going to get one of them benches.
Oh, my goodness.
I was
We need to follow you and remember how to catalog everything.
I was
across
going
our
to have
lifetime.
one of them bank boys, honey, because they wasn't too many. There wasn't too many with his qualities. They weren't.
Oh, my.
My husband was a very smart young man because when he took that test, it was always the first or the second.
There you go.
Now, I was no scholar. I'll tell the world I wasn't a scholar, but I could do plenty of other stuff. I was
So
not
he
a
finished-
scholar.
Ended up with his degree, you said, in mechanical engineering?
My husband?
Yes. Mhm.
Mechanical engineer. That's what he was. He couldn't find a job nowhere in this big Ohio.
Ah.
Not a job nowhere, you know how.
So what did he end up doing?
So,
Let me see. I can probably
I'm
find
trying to think of what we should doing. He worked out now the ball and water What is
Okay.
it?
Now you told me he worked at
The,
Babcock
oh,
and
yeah.
Wilcox.
That's afterwards, though. But
Oh, okay.
this is when he was finished in school.
Oh,
Getting,
here he is. The degree of Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering. Robert Banks. There he is. Let me make sure I put this back in here.
that's all right.
Yes.
Anyway, he worked out. There's a Baldwin something. I can't think of the
Yeah,
name,
the
but this the
reservoir
water
thing.
plant.
Yes.
He found turned dials. He worked down there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, let's see what happened to CTS, because he worked at CTS.
Oh.
One of the guys was playing poker one night at our house. He said, you know one thing? He said, your husband something else. He go in that garage and get I don't know how many tubes before he hurt his hand.
Ah.
I know he did, because he told me, I can't be doing that. I be messing with my hand. I have to draw.
Mm. Yes.
Yeah, but he was a good father, because he get down in the floor with Sherry and play Winnie the Pooh, read her those books, and bought her electric train. Very nice to his, especially her.
Oh, that's wonderful.
You know, she's a good student, but she never told us that she was a German major.
Oh, your daughter Sherry.
She never.
She was a German major.
When she went to Oakland, she took Russian.
Okay.
I think she goes for punishment.
Well, obviously she liked
She was,
it.
my husband got her a job. She was doing the same thing he was doing, only she was doing it in Michigan.
Oh, interesting.
A girl came out there. She said, "That's your daughter in there." And I said, "Yeah, well, how'd she get that job?" I said, "I don't know."
Oh, well, you know, she was your husband's
I don't
daughter.
know.
So you said that after he was at Babcock, Wilcox, he
Well,
worked for
he
the
was at
government?
Babcock and Wilcox. Well, white guys came and said, "You know what?" They said, "Babcock, Wilcox don't pay nothing." My husband said, "Well, what do they pay? Peanuts." I said, "You better go see about the peanuts." He went down there, and he was the first black one they hired.
Mm-hmm.
He saw all the secretaries were peeping out, people that I knew, because they never seen no black guy in there working.
Mm-hmm.
So he finally got a notice from the government for 10 months.
Okay.
So they said, Dorothy, he said, they offered me a job for 10 months. I said, you know one thing, Rob? I said, they're not paying you, not treating you fair at Babcock and Wilcox. Take this job and we'll pick crap with the birds.
All right.
He took it.
All righty.
He took a job for 10 months. 10 months.
10 months.
10 months. And he had for 30 years and he got finished. He sued them because they're discriminating. My husband, I want to stereotype the thing I don't have it in my possession of letter. That he said, being discriminatory. He worked at Google down on 200. And guess what? My mother had a cousin whose son was working there, and he said, Dorothy, nothing come out of him that's Robert Simon.
Oh.
But my husband worked for the government, and he worked for Google, my mother's cousin.
Okay.
He done fell and had a stroke.
Oh.
I liked him so much. He helped everybody. Well, that's the way it goes. But him not able to get a job, he finally got that job at Babcock, and his boss was no engineer. He was a draftsman.
Right.
And when he would go out of town, he would send Robert to be in charge.
Yes.
But he wouldn't send him to Barberton. My husband said, Dorothy, they send Turkish down there, Japanese, Chinese, everybody, but he won't send me. Well, I said, this is your opportunity. The government's offering you a job. He said, for 10 months. I said, well, take it for 10 months.
Yes.
After he went over, he told the people that, they said, you know what, I don't think your wife would want you to leave because we were all during the Depression. I said, you know one thing, your wife wants you to leave quick.
Isn't that something? And you said he sued after he retired?
Huh?
He sued the government after he retired for
I want to show you
discriminating
the
against-
letter. Sherry
Yeah,
took it
we'll-
out of
we'll
where I
just-
have
we'll
my
see it.
stuff.
Right. We'll see it.
He told me, he said, Dorothy, he said, I'm going to sue him because those colored girls are not getting their increments and they're not getting their promotions like they should. He said, I'm going to sue him because my husband could have been making big money with X. But he said, all he's doing them girls wrong. And see, they probably don't know how to talk like my husband.
Well, that's interesting because he was really looking out for other people. He
That's
wasn't
right.
doing it just for
That's
himself.
right, because he would have making big time.
And you said he won.
But he said, He couldn't stand to think the way they were treating those girls and probably didn't know how to talk for themselves, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So his boss gave him a promotion, and he said, George, I got a promotion. I said, you got money? He said, no. I said, you didn't get any money? He said, no. I said, well, tomorrow morning when you go in, put on your intelligence, and you go in there and act like you got some sense and don't act wild and crazy and get loud. And just as we talked last night at supper, we think it's not fair that you're not going to give me something. And guess what?
Guess what?
You got a raise.
All righty. Okay. Yes.
You know one thing? I told him when I went to marry my sister, Mary Louisiana. I still remember her name. When she said she didn't have no job, I said, well, but you have me, you'll never be sorry.
Yes.
And she wasn't either I worked there 5 years. The only reason I left there was because my husband's job was transferred to Pittsburgh.
Yes. Well,
I've had an interesting life.
yes, you have. Absolutely.
I
And
have.
when I talked to you before, I said everybody should know.
And I picked out
Everybody
every
right
house we
now.
done had.
Yes, tell me about your
My houses, the first house we bought was on Livingston.
Okay, yes, Livingston. Yes, many of us know Livingston.
I was in that house. I was in the house a year, and guess what? My husband got transferred to Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
Well, I wasn't going to say don't take the job. I didn't say anything but about stuff getting ready to get out of here. So I told my lady next door, I can't think of her name right now. I said, I'm going to be moving. She said, oh, you are? She got so nervous. I said, yes. What are you going to do with the house? I said, well, I hope to keep it. She said, well, she's talking about renters. You know, I don't want no renters. I said, I'm going to see. You know what I did?
What is that?
Went up to the bank. I was in my early 20s. And I want to speak to the head person up here. And I told him my situation about my husband being transferred, and I had to pick up and leave, and I did not want to get rid of my house.
Okay.
And I have a reliable person that's going to work for Cleveland School Board, and I would like to let them have the house. And I want to know if they can come up here and pay every month without me being here. He said, yes.
Okay. All right.
And I said, I'm on now. I ain't seen the
Yes.
woman but one time. And I said to her, I said, Miss Williamson, I said, you haven't seen the house yet? She said, well, miss, the one neighbor next door. And she said, it's all right, I don't need to see it. My sister was going to a church where these two guys were painters and wall washers. So I told Nell, I said, Nell, what's the name of the men that work in this church? And they have a little business. So she gave me their name, and I called them. They went in that house, they washed every window and every wall. I haven't painted nothing. I've been in the house to her, I ain't seen her but once. She went up to the bank where we had our mortgage and paid that rent, and I ain't seen her till she got ready. Her husband died, she got ready to go back to Washington.
Oh, my goodness.
I didn't see her.
Wow.
But her neighbor, my neighbor I should say,
Yes.
was a good friend of hers.
Yes.
So
yes,
I had
yes.
no
So
problem.
that was, yes, absolutely.
Now, who told me to
So
go
is
back to that
where
bank?
Now, is that where your daughter started school at Ludlow? Did your daughter go to Ludlow? And you lived on Livingston? Okay.
She went to Ludlow.
Okay.
And she came home one day and she said, Mama, because she didn't talk very much, and she didn't talk loud either. You know one thing? Miss Wayne treat me like I'm a grown woman and treat Denise like she's a lily white angel.
Oh,
That thing cracked me up. I said, well, you know, I'll have to go up and talk to your teacher. So when I got off from work, I worked nights. I didn't even take my uniform off. I just took my white shoes off. Went up there. And I showed Miss Wheaton. I said, Miss Wheaton, see what she's done to my daughter? She has real long fingernails. And she lives 2 doors down. And this is what she done to Sonia. Sonia said, Mama, she didn't ask what happened. But I was in the line, and Denise pushed me, and that's what she saw, and got in front of me. And then she scolded me.
Oh.
Well, I got her straightened out because I never heard not one word since.
That's right. Yeah.
I didn't. I never heard a word because I showed Miss. I said, "Come in, Miss Wheaton." Let me know. Oh, I didn't know that. I said, "That's why I'm here."
Now, Sonia, your youngest daughter, and then Sherry, who we've met here, your oldest daughter was at Moreland Elementary School.
Huh?
At Moreland Elementary, your oldest daughter went to Moreland. The picture that we have of her in her class at Moreland Elementary
That was the
School.
picture. That's Sonia.
Oh, that's Sonia. You're right. Okay.
That's Sonia.
Okay. And
You mean the
she's
big
at
picture?
yes. She's at is that at Ludlow?
That's right
No,
up at
no. I'm getting your daughters
Moreland.
mixed up. Sherry
Where's the
Moreland.
library?
Yes.
Moreland.
Yes. Yes. So Sonia went to Moreland. Where did you live then? Where did you live when she went to
Oh,
Moreland?
let me tell you
Elementary?
about this thing.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't know I'm a house seer. And my husband don't do anything like that, but he does listen to what I say.
I
Well-
can understand why.
How did I find out about that house?
Hmm.
I don't even. Oh, Livingston. Livingston is in Ludlow.
Yes.
And that's when she had the altercation
Yes.
with the little, what's the baby's name? But anyway, we got that straight, and I never had a peep from that day on. No, I never have, because I know Sonia's
Yeah.
not a troublemaker,
Sure.
and she's the obedient child you ever want to see. She never even, when I would call, I can holler, you hear Sharon? Holler, this not that child. She don't know how she comes. She said, did you call me, Mommy? She never answered. Oh, but not Sonia. She told her sister, you have patience. You must have more patience.
Oh.
Because she had the patience
From a
of Job.
child. Yes. Yes.
That's
yes.
low school. But now they changed it.
Yes, it's the preschool now.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a preschool now, Ludlow.
I was going to say something, but I done
Yeah,
forgot
so
what it
Sonia
was
went
running
to-
in my mouth. So
Went to Moreland. You moved into the Moreland. Did you live on Kenyon? Did you tell me you lived on Kenyon?
well, let me tell you, my sister-in-law called me and said, Dorothy, there's a house up on Kenyon, a brick house, a double.
Okay.
I said, okay, man. She told me all about it. I said, Ann, are you sure? She said, yeah, I'm sure. The house was only $40,000. I thought to myself, she must got something wrong. But she said, no, it's in the paper, Dorothy.
Okay.
I told my husband who's laying down, I said, you better get him, go see about the house now, because somebody's going to grab it. Sure enough, how much the house cost? $40,000? Brand new, only 15 years old.
Oh, okay.
I said, you better get up there and get going, because somebody going to get it. And we bought that house.
So that must have been in the 60s and the 50s.
It was
and
nice,
60s?
honey.
Okay.
You could smell the lumber when you walk down
Oh,
the basement.
my. Oh, nice.
I was blessed. And the house was well taken care of. I got that house, and I've got my name on the shaker list. They took me off, and you know why they took me off? Because I lowered my rent, because I said I'd rather have somebody take care of my house than they charge them, and they think it's being overcharged, and they mess me up. They took me off.
Interesting. Well, you shared with me, and maybe where you had the idea to be in a double house.
Oh,
But you talked about your mother and your father and how they owned
you know why I
houses.
got a double?
Why is that?
Because my mother, with her little short self, bought a 6-meter
Okay.
and hung all the wallpaper by herself.
Oh, okay.
She sure did.
Wow.
J. Francis, Carl Stokes' wife, that's where she was living when they got married.
Oh,
She was living down there in that house.
Isn't that so? Where was the apartment?
The apartment was at 79th and Lucius, one block over from Central.
Okay. You said
It
they
was a
had number-
6-meter.
They had a number of tenants there for a
My
long
mother hung
time.
all the wallpaper in there by herself.
Isn't that something? Unbelievable.
Sure did.
Because you had even told me that your mother made all your clothes till you were 13. It was the first time.
Oh, my mother didn't buy nothing, honey.
Right.
No, she didn't have no money to buy stuff, but she could buy material. And I mean, she could sew. And she didn't have to pay. On Sunday, the Cleveland News had patterns. She'd look at that pattern like I'm looking at this, and then she'd get her scissors and cut it out.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
The dress is made beautiful, honey.
Now we look at things on our phone.
So she
from
went to the
computer.
Goodwill. No. Hey, this is what happened. My cousin had outgrown this coat, red coat and a red
Okay.
bonnet.
Yes.
So, Aunt Sonetta, that was her name, she gave it to me. My mother went to the Goodwill and got a red serge dress. Came home, washed it, ripped it open, made me a red dress. And teacher asked Did the mother have a sewing factory? She done got this dress from the Goodwill because it looked like it was new.
Mm.
But my mother could sew.
That's
And there was a
something.
lady at the church, they had I forget the name of it, some kind of organization, Pastor's Aid.
Okay.
And then if the minister needs something, they would see after it. So they made him this white silk shirt. And she did not like my mother. Miss Moreland did not like. Guess what? She asked my mother to make the buttonholes.
Oh.
And guess what?
Mm.
She made them.
Yes.
And see me, I
That's
would have
not
had that
It's
excuse. I
not
wouldn't have
easy to
made
make
nothing.
buttonholes. I do know about that.
But my mother made them. And she had a party and had a lot of people in there. My mother's sister-in-law was there. My mother made a cake and sent the cake. My mother was not invited.
Oh my. Oh.
But my mother had been blessed, so my mother don't, that small stuff, my mother don't participate in that kind of nonsense, because that's what it is. And she's jealous of my mother for whatever reason, I don't know.
It was talented.
But she
Very
was.
talented. So I want to, and we're gonna, come back. But while you're talking about your mother was from Tuskegee.
My mother from Tuskegee, and my conscript her brother and sent him overseas because he wrote President Wilson a letter and said black people don't have nothing to go to war for.
Oh.
And they sent Uncle Ed overseas.
Mm.
But he came back.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Good.
My mother said she went down there. Dorothy, I love to go down there because they have to go down and spray the people's throat with salt water.
Mm-hmm.
Some flu or something was going on.
Okay.
Tuskegee Normal School. And my grandfather, my mother's grandfather,
Yes.
whew, when people tell me about Papa, it was some man. He was some man, honey.
Mm.
He had a lot of people, had a lot of respect. My mother said, anytime any trouble started, the Caucasian, go get Wes Johnson
Yeah.
and get his opinion of what is going on here. So when he did the thesis, Dylan Pool down at your school,
Yes.
called Miss Dillon lying on name, Miss Dillon, you're lying.
Oh, isn't that something? That was your mother's
My mother's grandfather. My mother's mother died young.
Oh, okay.
And her grandma raised them.
But you also said that your family was familiar with Booker T. Washington.
Oh, yeah, because Booker T. and the Peanut Man with the peanut head.
George
My Aunt
Washington
Dorothy, Dorothy came past our yard every morning.
Oh, my.
Booker T. was a friend of my mother's uncles.
Okay.
She had nice uncles, spoke well and act well.
Yes. And we're not even going to, you have so much, to share about your family because you have a very accomplished family. Many of your nephews and, your family members.
Oh, I got one not going to play professional basketball.
Oh, okay. I don't think
I got a picture of him. And my nephew had 5 children. Okay. That's why I had every of them come to the party. I said, we're not going to be discriminating against any children. Have them looking in the window, call all of them, let all of them come here. I meant that. I said, we're going to have all of them come.
And I was just looking.
Huh?
So you had a birthday party, and we have a picture of the cover of that.
My nieces, and they were so nice.
That's just unbelievable. I know we have this cover.
Oh, my nieces, they're just wonderful. And Dorothy, anytime you need anything.
This is an entire book.
But see, my teeth were falling, and I had to hold my teeth. I want to show you.
So did your niece do this book?
My 2 nieces.
Oh, your 2 nieces.
My brother's 2 daughters. My young brother. My brother that's so gracious and so wonderful. Yes, he was. She's my cousin on 2 sides. She related to my mother and to my father.
Okay.
She's up in her 80s. I want to show you your neighbor.
Oh, my neighbor. Oh, yes, Antoinette Hillian, your neighbor. Yes, Antoinette is the reason that I met you. Antoinette Hillian and her son. This was her husband.
I had about 200 some people there.
Yes, and
but I know a lot of people.
Yeah, I see. You have a lot of family. And actually, if it were not for Antoinette, sharing with me, that she has a neighbor named Mrs. Dorothy Banks, and would I like to interview you? I said, oh my goodness, of course, of course. So I want to thank Antoinette for introducing me to you. And I met her young son a few weeks ago.
He's cute.
Yes, he
He
is.
told his mother that it's raining and we better go and see about Miss Banks.
Yes, yes, yes. Isn't that something? Well, Mrs. Banks, wow, I have to.
She belonged to my church.
Okay.
I say Sonia's church. Now, this is the woman that's 103 years old.
Oh, my. Oh.
Her.
Ooh, wow.
And her sister's going to be 100 next year.
Isn't that something?
Her sister went to school with my sister.
What a blessing.
Esther Shy.
Hmm.
Yep.
So.
He was the head of, not Cleveland Heights. The one that's up there Miles. What's the name of that school, big school up there? He used to be the principal up there.
Well, now there's Kennedy up there. John F. Kennedy? That's what's on Miles now.
His wife taught at Kennedy. That's his wife.
Oh, okay. Okay.
She taught at Kennedy.
Okay. So we have the cover of this book. We're going to make sure that we show, to everybody. And so I want to also just, share very quickly that in our conversation, and I won't take it on too far, and I'm going to have to share this with my sister too, that I found that, McIntyres, I won't go into that too much, but, we had a wonderful
Where are you from?
I'm from Cleveland.
No.
What do you mean?
I ain't talking about you. I'm talking about your family.
Oh, well, the McIntyre name came from Jamaica.
Oh,
but my grandmother was from South Carolina.
I don't know why that's in my head somewhere.
Yeah, my grandfather was from Jamaica. So that's another, we'll talk about that. Yes.
Was my husband? I don't know.
Yes.
Well, anyway, I don't remember.
All right. Well,
I don't remember everything.
Well, you remember almost everything, though. I mean to tell you, I need to just be in your space so I could have such a memory.
They were interviewing us, me and my sister, about my mother. She came outside. She said, girl, she said, how do you remember all that stuff? My mother was 3 years old, and they had to feed the corn shucks through the fence. And the cow almost got her dressed, and she almost had a hard time getting it back.
Oh, my.
She would tell me about that tremendous trouble she had with Nanny.
You have such wonderful stories. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I want to thank your daughter, too, Sherry, who was here with us, and helped us look for pictures and everything.
I can't live without her.
Oh, yes. You all are such a blessing.
I got a lot of books, so you see that book?
Yes.
Plenty for the fellas. I'm talking about family in there.
Yes.
Well, and one of my nephews got 5 children.
If anybody was able to just come and see just the wonderful family pictures that you have, it's just something.
Well, you can't take one and don't take the rest of them.
Yeah.
Where is mine at? My girlfriend is in there. She has 3 daughters, cum laude, all 3 of them.
Oh, nice.
She was RN. She took care of me. She's a Guyanese. She took care of me at St. Luke's Hospital. Oh. She's the one that brought 100 roses.
Oh, my goodness.
I met her at the hospital.
Oh.
But see, she didn't know anybody. She had 2 children. Her husband traveled like mine did. He was an engineer. She was lonely, but she didn't have no friends. People don't want to be bothered with you.
Yeah, but I mean, when somebody has
she
an
was
opportunity
so nice
to meet you, it's their blessing, too. My goodness, you just...
Oh, thank you. She gave me these curtains. You see them curtains hanging up there?
Yeah.
Well, she said, Dorothy, she said, Jerry said he don't want them curtains. He'll have them in 3 houses. He's tired of them. Would you like to have them? I said, sure I would.
Yeah, you told me about that. Well, thank you so much, Mrs.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
I wish I could be more fluent.
Oh, my. Oh, no. This was just actually a wonderful joy. I could listen to you every day, all day. And I think that people really are going to be honored to be able to
But you know what?
Story.
My sister said, Dorothy, people don't want to hear about all your hard times. I said, you know what?
Do.
You can learn. If you want to, if you want to, you can learn.
Yeah,
but see, some other people, they don't want to learn. They don't want to hear because they don't want to go through any struggle.
Yes.
See? And if you go through a struggle, you learn how to live.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yes.
learn.
I've learned so much just talking to you.
I didn't have to ask nobody for nothing. Never.
Mm. Wow.
You know why? Because I don't act foolish. And see, what another person has does not bother me. You know, some people are so envious and jealous, like my girlfriend that produced. She has 5 acres up on corner of Harvard. And she said, Dorothy, she said, my brother always trying to impress him, but I ain't trying to impress nothing but my pocketbook.
Okay. with that.
She had a
Yeah.
fashion show once.
Okay.
They were modeling, 4 people modeling her clothes that she made.
Oh wow.
She was some sewer.
Isn't that something? Well,
She was a good sewer, but she didn't know how to laundry.
Oh, okay.
And see,
okay.
I think
That's
she was
an
the kind of
important
person I'd
thing.
be hesitant to say anything to her.
Yes.
But she did not know how to do laundry.
Okay. Yes. Well, Mrs. Banks, thank you.
And you're so welcome.
Thank you so much.
And anytime I could be of service,
Yes.
I'm here to help.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm here for. My mother used to say, Dorothy, if you can't help, my mother used to take her lawnmower and walk down the street and cut the widow's grass. She would take her iron and her ironing board around the corner up the hill to her sister's house, help her iron up her clothes. And she did. When my cousin was pregnant, she lived across the street. Her mother had surgery. My mother had her breakfast over there at 6:30 every morning on tray. She said, Dorothy, if it don't be fat, because she was pregnant, she said, if it don't be fat, Nellie, I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah. Well,
But
so we know where
what do you think you're on this earth for?
Yes.
And you don't want to help
absolutely.
nobody do anything?
That's right. And that's a message that we're gonna
My sister, this is my daughter, of course, now I was on for it, but she gave all them drugs to my $10,000.
Yeah. So we're going to end with that. You
Huh?
know, how, what is our life worth unless we don't
If you can't do
give
somebody
to
help,
others?
you
Yes,
can't help
absolutely.
somebody.
Absolutely. Thank
And
you
my
so
nephew
much.
got them 5 children. They took me when I got my washing machine. His wife was said, I knew they needed one. I said, go in there and pick one out. She looked at me. I said, go in there and pick one out. She looked at her husband. She probably thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
They had 5 children. They need help.
And there you were.
And what am I going to do?
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Mrs. Banks.
So-
Thank you so much. This was just an absolute joy.
I haven't done anything.
Oh, yes, you have. Okay.
And you said you think you know Dilbert Poole.
Yes.
You think you do?
I do. Yes.
Well, Dilbert's grandmother
Are you
was
still
shot,
recording? Oh,
was
okay.
shot and killed by a Caucasian colored woman because he told her not to go down there to the colored woman's house. And my mother said you could hear her grandmother howling all over Macomb County.
Oh my goodness. No, I did not know that.
But if somebody told me to stay away, I'd stay away, honey.
Yes.
I wouldn't take a chance on somebody shooting me about some woman. But that's what happened. That's
that's
my
sad.
cousin. She is a minister at the church over on 140th and Bartlett.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes, I know. I think it's St.
She'll
Paul.
be there 50 years.
Okay. I think
And she
St.
told
Paul.
my girlfriend that brought me the roses, oh, I want you to have one for my 50th year coming up. She said, honey, I live in Texas. My girlfriend, she lives down in Texas.
Nice. Okay. All righty.
Great.
But I've
Thank you.
enjoyed this.